Yo, what is up, future fighters? It's me, and today I want to talk tier 3. I want to make some predictions for 10 possible tier 3s we could see in 2020, because for a lot of people, tier 3s are the big hot button topic that they want to discuss day in and day out. What's their next tier 3? Which tier 3s do they have? Which tier 3s do they not like? And I know some of you guys are already hating on the possibility of Lil, Crescent, and IO getting their tier 3, and I understand that it's not what everybody wants. I just want to say before we get into this list, because you guys might not like my suggestions or my ideas for tier 3. Let's try to be civil. Let's try to be nice about it. Let's give Netmarble constructive feedback. I'm sure not everybody was hyped and overjoyed to get Luna Snow tier 3. Personally, I was not hyped or overjoyed that we weren't getting Cyclops announced, and I was actually not looking forward to his tier 3, and now I play it and I really like it. And the same goes for other tier 3s, and I know a lot of you guys were shitting on Ant-Man for a long time, and then he ended up being actually pretty dope in certain situations. Still no love for my boy Wolverine, but we'll talk about that later. So yeah, I just want people to be nice about their criticism and throw things out constructively. So before we actually get into my list of 10, I want to show you a little bit of background research that I did, and it's, I wouldn't call it research actually. I'll call it history. So check this out. This is kind of cool actually. On the left, on the far left here, we have all of the tier 3s from the beginning, Captain America, all the way. Actually, they're not. Never mind. They're not measured by when they were released. Over here, from the second one on, they are measured by, or sort of ordered by, when they were introduced. But this first one, this is all different information, but it's all relative. So here we go. All of the green ones that you see here are original characters, or characters that were introduced to Marvel Future Fight very early on. So what I mean by making them green is to say that all of these characters have been in the game for a long time, and then they got their tier 3. That's a very important distinction to make for looking at new tier 3s that could be coming in Marvel Future Fight, because a character like Crescent getting her tier 3, or even Dr. Voodoo, although one character has lots of history in the comics and one doesn't, they're both brand new characters. And every time a brand new character gets their tier 3, like Mr. Fantastic did, he got his tier 3 when he was introduced, or Namor, or Deadpool, it does take a little bit of the fun out of it, because the character never has any time to sort of build up at tier 2. They're automatically tier 3. So honestly, if you ask me, for example, I don't remember what it's like to play Deadpool at tier 2. He's a native tier 2, so I'm not saying he was tier 1-able, but I'm just saying you just get him a tier 3 so fast, it sort of just all bleeds into one. So it's important for Netmarble to balance the number of sort of new characters that they're automatically throwing at us with tier 3, like Namor, and it's important to also go back, because we've got such a huge roster of 200 plus characters. It's important for them to go back and touch on some of those old characters and revitalize them and make them good with a tier 3, and I think they did a fantastic job with a character like Doctor Strange. I think he's one of the prime examples of going back and taking a character that's sort of kind of underused, kind of underpowered, and bringing them back up to the meta. Not necessarily making them overpowered, but just bringing them back up. So that is the very left list. Then we got the one over here. This is just listing them all out from first introduction to newest. So first to last in terms of chronology. And then you're going to use this list to look at the rest of them. The rest of them are pretty easy to discuss. This is just the type of the character. So you can see here that there's a decent smattering of blast, combat, and speed, and there's a bit of balance here. Universal is obviously the one that's missing the most. We had one Universal last year, and then this year we've only had 2 Universals. So very, very bleeding and begging for it. Universal tier 3. Over here we have heroes and villains. It's pretty self-explanatory. Tons of heroes, very few villains, but this sort of falls in line with what we can expect from the overall balance. In Marvel Future Fight, only about 33% of the characters are villains, and that's if I include Cyclops as a villain. He's technically a hero, but we're going to take him with his Phoenix 5 uniform. That wouldn't change Namor's back to villain, though, but you could do that technically. But then the most interesting one, I think, is the far right. So you can see here that at the beginning, these are basically native tier 1 characters. These are the green ones, and so we've got quite a few native tier 1s. In total, we've got 10. That's good. 10, half of all of the tier 3s so far have been native tier 1 characters. 2 of them have been bio subscription, recently. But then you can see the rest of them have been native tier 2 in some way. So you've got Thanos and Quicksilver, who are just native tier 2. Thanos is obviously double cost. Quicksilver is just 1.5 times cost. But then if you look at the ones that are in light blue, these are all tier 3s from the Jean Grey Epic Quest. This is an obvious, intentional effort by Netmarble to tier 3 all of those characters. Jean Grey tier 3, Wolverine tier 3, Cyclops tier 3, and Magneto tier 3. This is not an accident in my opinion. You could say that the Magneto Cyclops thing is because of ABX, but there are other Blast villains that they could have tier 3'd. Now, is Cyclops and Magneto more popular than, let's say, Yellow Jacket and Ulysses Claw, or Caecilius or Baron Mordo? Yeah, but they could have done Doctor Strange and Baron Mordo. They didn't have to do Doctor Strange and Cyclops. So this does lend some more logic to the fact that they might end up trying to finish those X-Men off. And then I was going to make another list, but I decided not to, showing off how many of these characters are mutants. There's a ton of mutant tier 3s, and I want to make a separate video about this, but if you just go and look at it, if you look at the overall balance of tier 3s, you know, you've got 5 tier 3s here, and 2 of them are mutants. So 2 out of 5 are mutants. You go over here, you got 6 tier 3s, and guess what? 3 of them are mutants. That's right, 50% are mutants. You go over here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 1 of them is mutant. Okay, speed class is a little bit more balanced. And then over here, we don't have any mutants because, of course, mutants are not universal. So it's a bit interesting for Blast and Combat. There's a huge, disproportionate amount of mutant tier 3s. So with that out of the way, considering all of those things, considering, you know, villain versus hero, combat, blast, speed, universal, considering native tier 1 versus native tier 2 versus epic quest characters, here are my ideas for the top 10 most likely characters to get their tier 3. These are not necessarily the characters that I want to get their tier 3 the most. Some of them are, I am a bit biased, but some of them are just ones that I think make the most sense. So we're going to start with the ones that make possibly the least amount of sense, building up to the ones that are just absolute guarantees. So coming in at number 10, we've got Psylocke or Invisible Woman. And the reason for Psylocke or Invisible Woman, in Psylocke's case, she hits 3 different bells. She is a mutant, which we've established that Netmarble loves mutants. She's a blast type. Netmarble also loves blast types. And then she's an epic quest character like Magneto. Now, Invisible Woman doesn't have the mutant tag, but she does have the crystal cost for the epic quest. So I could definitely see her getting her tier 3 as well. They're sort of hand in hand, and they're blast and they're hero types, so they sort of land on that. Coming in at number 9, similarly, Crescent. Crescent's an original character. She's the only one left right now who doesn't have a tier 3. Luna Snow and Sharon both got it. She's a combat type, and she's a hero, and with all that Warriors of the Sky stuff, she could definitely be the tier 3 to sort of usher them into the game. Coming in at number 8, this is sort of my personal opinion here, Black Bolt. Now, Black Bolt is a universal type, which is good. He's also an original character. He's been in the game since the game first came out, so it's important for Netmarble to go back and revitalize characters like this. Give him a new uniform, make an Inhumans update, and give him his tier 3. Again, I know how much love you guys have for original comic characters and characters with lots of history, and I love these characters a lot. I just think that there should be a balance between these characters and newer characters as well. Let everybody have their shine. There's not really a race to get tier 3 because we're never going to get to the end anyways, guys. The game's probably going to shut down before all 200 characters get their tier 3 unless we start getting 2 or 3 or 4 tier 3s per update, which could start happening, I guess, but I'm not holding my breath for that. Coming in at number 7, like Black Bolt, Ultron. Ultron hits 1 extra tag that Netmarble desperately needs more of in their tier 3s, and that's villain. So he's universal, which is really important. He's a villain, also important, and he's an original character. He's been in the game for so long. He's the original uniform character. Guys, do you remember in 2015 when we had the Ultron uniform pack? You could pay like, I don't know, what was it, 2,000 crystals or 2,500 crystals? I think it was 2,500 crystals to purchase all 3 uniforms. Guys, one of the uniforms is better against combat types, one of them is better against speed types, and one of them is better against blast types. Isn't that so sick? Nah, it's pretty corny now in retrospect, but it was really cool in 2015. So I personally would love to see Ultron getting a tier 3. I think that'd be amazing if he got super jacked up, super powerful. If they, like, you know, tripled his HP and he was impossible to kill. I would just personally love that because that's who Ultron is. Coming in at number 6, I'm going to sound repetitive now, but another Universal type. Now, I purposely chose Ant-Man and not Blue Marvel or Nova because the chance of Blue Marvel appearing in the MCU is high. The chance of Nova appearing in the MCU is absolutely guaranteed. So I think Netmarble is going to play it smart and not Tier 3 Nova for now. They could Tier 3 him and then introduce Richard Rider Tier 3 later. We don't know. But my guess would be, let's not Tier 3 him. He's a hero. Let's leave him for his movie, for his MCU stuff. But let's Tier 3 one of the other guys because he hits all of the things that Netmarble wants. He hits all the bells. He's universal, he's a villain, and he's hard to get. He's expensive. He's not quite a paywall. He's not a bio-subscription character, but he's kind of up there. So he definitely works on a lot of different levels. And, you know, this is a random Tier 3 to throw in for an update that has no connection to Ant-Man whatsoever. Kind of like Doctor Strange with the Spider-Man update. Coming in at number 5, another Universal. I have to recommend a lot of Universals because they have to catch up. It's just that simple. And this time around, instead of going for a paywall character, well, we are going to go for a paywall character once I can find her. We're going to go for another type of paywall character, Victorious. Again, like I guess Namor, she hits those bells of being universal. Namor's not universal, but I mean, she's a biosub character, or she's very hard to get. She's a villain, she's universal, and she's part of the epic quest for Doctor Doom. So it's very important that she get a Tier 3 to push that Tier 3 and push Mr. Fantastic Tier 3, push Doctor Doom Tier 3, the way that they pushed Jean Grey Tier 3 with Wolverine, Magneto, and Cyclops. I think they could definitely repeat that strategy or that sort of pattern again. Coming in at number 4, similarly for the Deadpool Epic Quest, I think it's possible for Cable to get his Tier 3. Cable's a mutant, so he's got that going for him. He's a blast hero, and he's also more expensive, so this is an excuse for them to charge us for a 1250 or a 1200 crystal Tier 3. And he's also part of the Epic Quest for the Tier 3-able Deadpool. Now we're into the top 3 most likely characters to get Tier 3. And again, this is not what I want, but these are the most likely Tier 3s based on what Netmarble has shown us in terms of what they've been doing. So coming in at number 3 is Doctor Doom. And Doctor Doom, Universal, Villain, Epic Quest. Matches all of the things we've seen. He would be like Jean Grey, who'd be 1600 CCF, really bleed the character, really bleed the players for all their CCF. And man, Contest of Champions just got Doctor Doom. He looks like a badass. Marvel Future Fight doesn't want to be outdone. They want to take that spotlight back, so they're going to be bringing in Doctor Doom to come and bring that smackdown. He might be the first Tier 3 of 2020 to mark 1 year of his introduction to the game, so it should be pretty interesting. If this boy gets a Tier 3, I promise you he's going to rule the game. He's way too strong to be ignored. Coming in at number 2, we have Strife, the other native Tier 2 Epic Quest unlockable character. You can see a pattern here. They did Jean Grey. They're going for the other ones. He's 1600 CCF. He's a mutant. He's blast, and he's a villain. This will complete the Netmarble slow increase of blast villains of ABX. They introduced Magneto. He's like $1 million and $1.5 million. They introduced Cyclops. He's 2 million, 2.5 million, maybe 3 million. And then boom, they hit us with the 1600 CCF Strife after laughing their way to the bank by making us pay 800 CCF for Magneto, then making us drop another 800 CCF for Cyclops. Listen, what I'm describing is the darkest timeline. I hope they're not going to do that. I hope they completely rework ABX and they make it a beautiful, fun game mode with rewards that go up as you progress your score so that it's actually worthwhile to push up to 3.5 million. So I can actually, with a straight face, recommend that people Tier 3 this man for the score increase, for the reward increase. But at the same time, I'm not going to hold my breath for Netmarble. Coming in at number 1, we actually have 3 characters. Oh, surprise. Yeah. So coming in at number 1, we have the only MCU connected characters or Disney Plus connected characters for the year 2020. Now, this does not include the Eternals. The Eternals is coming out November 2020, unless it gets delayed. There was a bomb thing recently with some of the actors, so I hope they're all safe, and that's very dangerous, and I don't want that, I don't want anything to happen. But I can't speculate on the Eternals getting Tier 3s because we don't actually know if we're going to get an Eternals movie tie-in for Marvel Future Fight. But I can say with a little bit more confidence, let me filter here by speed types. There's a very, 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 very good chance that we are going to be seeing the possibility of Tier 3 Winter Soldier and more sexy Tier 3 Falcon. And I say more sexy because he sucks. And he's an original character and he deserves it. So they're speed types, they're original characters, and he sucks. And they deserve Tier 3 for, of course, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Disney Plus TV show. And then the other big one, which is coming in about 7 months or so, this one I think everyone would have guessed before they started watching the video, Black Widow. She's getting her own standalone movie. We're probably going to be getting that red guy plus Taskmaster as playable characters with the update that gives Black Widow her tier 3. Should be very exciting to see that. She's a speed character, she's a hero, she's MCU, and she's an original. She absolutely deserves it. But you know what? Remember, guys, every character deserves their tier 3. Let's try to be positive and bring some positivity to Marvel Future Fight with these suggestions and these ideas. So let me know what you guys think of my predictions. Hit me up in the comments with your predictions for 2020 tier 3s, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.